What's up, Trader's Edge? It's Mark Sebastian, your only option. Today, I'm going to go through the week that was. I'm going to preview the big events for next week. We're going to look at the stock market. We're going to talk about the bond market. We're even going to talk about precious metals and oil. And of course, we'll look at the VIX and that one stock you need to be watching next week. So with that, let's dig in. So it was a pretty good week for the S&P 500. Ended the week on a really nice note, closed up about 0.5%. On the week, it was up 80 points. Good for about 1.3%. We had a pretty wild day on Fed Day. The Federal Reserve came out with their interest rate decision on Wednesday. We saw the market absolutely tank and absolutely rally before closing down 6 points. But on the whole, pretty strong week for the S&Ps. The Qs also had a nice week, outperformed the S&P, and continue to move higher. One thing we're noticing is it is the top of the market that is pulling the market higher. The top 10 stocks are really pushing things around. Now, that being said, IWM, the Russell 2000, had a really strong Thursday and really kind of made the week. Pretty flat all week, and then boom on Thursday. It is approaching an all-time high. The all-time high was in November when it topped out at 2466.69. I'd like to see I believe the Russell 2000 is going to pierce that next week. Russell 2000, I believe, is going to have the strongest 3 months of any other major indexes. And as a bonus, if you want to look at RVX, this is the VIX of the Russell 2000. It is approaching the lowest levels that we've seen since April. So options aren't very expensive on the RVX, which is which means Russell 2000 options are cheap. Looking at the bond market, here's TLT, absolutely exploded leading into the Federal Reserve. It has come back off. You kind of expect this. We get kind of big anticipation for the Federal Reserve, and then we get a little bit of mean reversion. It's normalized. I believe that it might get down to about 88.30 before it turns around. IEF, which is the 7 to 10 year bond, seems to have already kind of found where it's heading, found the low, and I think that there's going to be some upside here in the bond market. Gold, kind of a different story. After kind of selling off post-Fed, again, not a big surprise, did get a nice little rally on Friday. Silver was even stronger. Silver is now over, SLV is now over 39 and looks like it wants to head to 40. Last but not least in this group, you've got black gold, and it has been in this range since August, kind of. USO has been bouncing between 73 and 75 since then, and that's really been kind of its median level going all the way back to June. I don't know what the catalyst is going to be to get USO moving again, but right now oil appears to be pretty dead. Now, looking at the big VIX, it closed down a quarter, 1545. Futures have a pretty decent spread between the cash and October. I continue to like owning puts. This spread eventually has to close, and I'm looking at the 17, 16 and a half, and 16 puts in VIX. I think those will pay you. Looking ahead to next week, there's a lot of Fed speak. There's some economic data. The big one is on Friday when we get PCE. PCE is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. If we're going to get the 2 more rate cuts that the market is looking for, that PCE we want to come in relatively light. Post-Fed, VIX at 15. What are we looking for next week? The at-the-money straddle, which is how much the market is expecting the S&P to 500 to move, is about $70. That's essentially 1%. I've said it again before. I'm going to say it again. Short-dated options continue to be way too cheap. Longer-dated options, those are actually expensive. But short-dated stuff that's inside of a week to 10 days, is consistently underpriced. This is something you need to be taking advantage of if you are not. Now, last but not least, my stock to watch, and it's Apple. Apple had a huge day on Friday. It is approaching some of the highs that we saw in February. I don't fully get why people are out there buying Apple, but Apple is really on a roll. Fundamentally, that PE is now over 30. This is a incredibly overpriced stock out of the Mag 7s. I think it's more overpriced than any of the other names. This is one that if it starts to roll over, I want to be short. The name I'm looking to see if it gets a little pullback is Google. I'd love to buy it for $245. This one is eventually going to $300. Folks, make sure you join us Monday for our ticker highlight show. This is where we give one trade idea that is put together between myself, Hans, Andrew, and Leisha. You don't want to miss it. You can sign up here or just join us here on YouTube or at the Option Pit website at 10 a.m. on Monday for this incredible content. If you are watching me on YouTube, please like, subscribe, leave a question or comment. I will answer it. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I am Mark Sebastian. I am your only option. I hope you have a good one.